Welcome back to the weekly news Roundup. This is the Linux edition. Of course, you can catch this show live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we stream it to YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, and the Lost Stepchild called DLive. I've been thinking about, I think it is now possible for anybody to post it to Twitter. I'd have to pay them a little bit. Would that be useful? Of course, I should call it X, especially if I'm going to use X's brand new amazing platforms. But my audience over on X has been growing a bit lately. Mostly I go on there and I just crap post other stuff related to FOSS software and meme jokes. If you're not following us over on X, it is kind of sometimes a fun time. I'll jump on there once a day and respond to a bunch of comments, leave some pithy comments there. And over there, of course, that's at Switch to Linux. But I've been considering that internally, so let me know what you guys think. Would you watch it if we go on over to X? Especially if you stay all the way through this and see the business news this week, you might want to think about it. I don't know. We'll get there. But anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at 3 Linux articles that I have right here. So the first is the Noodle Rat, much be from New York City. That place is full of noodles and that place is full of rats. But anyway, Noodle Rat is a backdoor used by Chinese-speaking groups. And this is malware that it actually turns out that this is malware we've known about for at least 8 years, but it has been mislabeled. We thought it was something related to like Ghost Rat and a few other things, but indeed it is now determined to be a separate one called Noodle Rat, and it is impacting both Windows and Linux. So I considered putting it into security, but I decided we'll go ahead and talk about it here in Linux. Now, what it basically is doing is usually it's a response to a targeted attack, so most likely you're not going to be impacted by it. What we don't know necessarily, at least nothing in the bulletin here from Trend Micro tells us how one actually gets it. However, it seems to be consistent with one of the malware packages that is put by either some drive-by web server or a phishing scheme of something. But once you have this, it creates a full backdoor utilizing a couple copy-pasted scripts from a few other types of malware and allows people to see an entire backdoor into what is going on your computer. Now, there is the Windows version, of course, but the reason we are covering it here is there is also a Linux version. There it is, the Linux Noodle Rat. It's either a New York City bug or it's something that comes down from the Pastafarians. May you all be touched by his noodly appendage. So Linux Noodle Rat is an ELF version of Noodle Rat with a different design. Backdoor has been used by several groups with various motivations, such as is it Roki or Roke? I'm going to call it Roki. So Iron Cyberheim Group for financial gains, or it's used for Cloud Snooper campaign for espionage. So either financial gains or espionage. Contains a reverse shell, download and install updates, scheduled execution, and SOX tunneling. So here they have a little picture of a worm. So is it a worm? I don't know. This is one of these things about all of these technical bulletins. They give you every nth detail about how these stupid things work, yet none of them tell you how does one get this piece of malware that is eating away at my system. And I looked all over through it, looked at several articles. I'm assuming it's probably a targeted phishing attack or a blanket phishing attack, because that's what seems to be popular. They have a picture of a worm, though, so I don't know. Worms, of course, are the worst because they're fairly nondescript. They just go around chomping on stuff. Anyway, once you get in here, it copies itself to temp and then a folder with a bunch of C's. So go ahead and check your temp folder, see if you got a bunch of C's in there. If you have that, you might be eaten on by the Noodle Rat. So once this guy gets down here, maybe that's what that is. Maybe that's a noodle. I don't know. But we get in here, and it gets in and does a variety of things, especially on the Windows to evade detection. It gets in here, and then it starts doing funky things. It's going to connect to its server, which is going to give it some instructions. It's going to import itself. It's going to look at doing just a few other things inside. And ultimately, what it's going to do is it's going to collect information and do some other forms of nefarious things. We have some comparisons to them. So just be aware, once again, phishing scams, guys, they're all over the place. I receive hundreds of emails a day. That's why if you send me an email, I try and get back to them. I still have emails from last week I haven't gotten to yet. And remember, this month is really busy as I'm patching a bunch of software for a server migration that has to happen by the end of the month. It's exciting. Anyway. Moving on, Ubuntu 24.04 runs on the world's first credit card size RISC-V or RISC-V SBC. And this one here, some of the wording of the article was a little interesting in that it was saying down here it's the first credit card size small board computer that delivers solid performance in a compact form factor. I am going to call balderdash on that statement as it is written. And the reason is I've run my entire web design company for the last 4 years on a Raspberry Pi 4, and it's had pretty solid performance. If it hadn't, I wouldn't be using it. In all reality, I have right here a Raspberry Pi 5, which, by the way, has a processor twice as fast as this Milk-V Mars device. Now, I would like to get one of these Milk-V Mars devices to see, but this Raspberry Pi has a dual-core processor at 2.5 gigahertz, and this guy here, I believe, is just a single-core processor at 1.5 gigahertz. So I disagree with some of the basic phraseology in the article about it being the first credit card size computer. No, that computer is the same exact size as the Pi. I'm going to call balderdash on that particular statement because, yes, lo and behold, indeed, Raspberry Pis have been a thing for a long time, and you could use them as a very high-performance workstation for quite a while. Trust me, I've been doing it personally. And that Pi 5 blows the 4 completely out of the water. The Pi 5 behaves just like my laptop. It's kind of crazy. That thing is amazing. But anyway, that being said, I would love to be able to pick one of these guys up and play with it myself. I really would like to. The problem is the only place I can get it right now is 2 companies in China. So I'm not going to. Nothing against Chinese. I'm just not ordering stuff with the, shipping window of 6 possible weeks because I'm a van dweller and I don't know where I'm going to be in 6 weeks from now. Come on, guys. What are y'all thinking? But anyway, we do have Ubuntu 24.04 running on this guy, and the difference here is that this uses a different type of architecture. Of course, we have your standard computers are your Intel-based, and then you have your ARM, which are much better on power, all the electricity power consumption, but not quite as robust until Mac came up with a lot of its things. And we're seeing a lot of really good positive stuff in the ARM market right now. So we're seeing a lot of these. And then, of course, the RISC is a different architecture set. Open source instruction set architecture, ISA, entirely different type of processing. And Ubuntu does have a build for this. There are a number of other builds. I believe there might be a build for this on Armbian as well. I would love to pick one of these guys up and play around with it and see what all it can do. And I'd love to do an honest comparison between that and maybe the Pi 4 or the Pi 5, see which one's better. But for those interested in such things, we do have that as a new option. And finally, our Snapdragon X is about to come out with that freaky Copilot, which Windows has officially said, I think officially they've said that they are not releasing Copilot on the Windows computers as opt-out. Yeah, you have to be opt-in. I've seen unconfirmed reports that they're going to not even install it at all. I have not confirmed that, however. However, with the Snapdragon X Elite processor coming out, Tuxedo is now working on it, utilizing their custom Linux build, which is based on Ubuntu. This is Tuxedo OS with the KDE Plasma desktop. So because this guy has a CPU, NPU, and GPU all built in one chip, they say it has much higher performance, and that NPU can do massive processing. You do not have to use it just for AI. That, of course, that's what Windows Copilot was using it for. The Windows Recall on the Copilot Plus PCs was using the NPU. But in this case, they're using that just to take care of speed and performance issues. So the NPU is 45 TOPS, allowing a gimmicky AI nonsense in Windows 11. Oh, I like OMG Ubuntu for this article. It has the real lure of these chips. It's their performance and their power use edge closer to Apple's M2 series chips. So they're saying these are really good. Now, I do like to call out nonsense when I see it, and these guys do have their nonsense. Look at this down here. We're finally moving out of the era of low-cost, low-power Linux ARM laptops like the Pinebook and into a world of powerful yet power-efficient devices. What in the hell are you talking about? I have been calling for low-power, low-cost Linux machines forever on this channel, and there are no real good options. The Pinebook is not a full production ready. I actually have one down here. I'm going to be experimenting with it sometime soon, but to my knowledge and to my warning, there's like one distro I heard that works reasonably well on, and even that, it's not amazing. The Pinebook is not this low-power Linux ARM laptop. That's like the only one I know of. Is there another one? What is the point of this sentence? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't jive itself with reality. I want to see a plethora of low-cost, low-power Linux machines, whether they're ARM or Intel or anything else, because low-power, low-cost Linux machines is what's going to drive the masses into Linux. Now, maybe it's a bad thing if the masses go to Linux, but it's going to decrease one of the major factors where if I want to buy a computer with a Linux on it, I'm sorry, I don't drop $1,000 for computers any more than I drop $1,000 for phones. Okay? If you want to have me buy a Linux computer from you, you are perfectly capable of making a low to medium range computer that I can pick up, which has Linux on it, which is coming from a company that makes sure everything works, and I might have a really good experience on a lower level computer. Maybe I'll go, hey, maybe I will spend $1,000 down the road. But right now, I think that Linux adoption suffers because we don't have any low cost, low power Linux systems of any kind, ARM or otherwise. So OMG Ubuntu, while I do praise you for some elements that you're doing, what are you smoking? This is insane. Anyway, that is too long of a rant on this amazing article. Tuxedo doing some great things. I would love to have a look at one of these. I'm not sure I would buy one right off the way, but it is also really cool to see Snapdragon processors coming out with a really, really good Linux build. So that's looking forward to that. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a locals page. Locals. This is switchedtolinux.locals.com. Excuse me. Of course, we do our short story series. We have published our last one for the series, so we will resume back in the fall. So if you have not downloaded our latest short story, if you are a supporter on Locals or any of our other supporter networks, you can go ahead and download the audiobook format. Of course, later on this summer, we will be compiling all of those stories into a book available to buy anywhere you buy books. So that's coming by the end of the summer. But you can jump on to Locals and support us for any amount that you would like, and that will help keep the channel running. With that, guys, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.